Morning, everybody.
Morning, Mr. Chairman.
A beautiful sunny day in Ogdensburg, New York.
Cold?
No, the people down in New York City want to know it's about 75 degrees here today.
I can vouch.
Just circles of North Country, that's it. So
Yeah, I was in New York City.
palm trees are blowing away. But it's a beautiful morning in the North Country, and welcome everybody here for our regular board meeting. It's Wednesday, April 3rd. It's 9:05 p.m. We'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Davis, you have any letters of communication?
Just two things I wanted to bring to your attention in your purple read folder there. One is a topic for executive session regarding the judge's decision on St. Lawrence Factory Stores.
Okay.
Another is a note from the engineer, Majeski and Masters, regarding a level 2 load rating review.
Any questions, Wade, on those? No? We will go into executive session to discuss some of those topics.
Yes, there is a need for executive session at the end of the regular business today to
Okay.
discuss the judge's decision.
Okay. There's no approval of minutes needed. Any comments or presentation by citizens or anybody? No? Let's go right to staff reports.
Staff reports at the request of the board. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Well, I don't have any questions, but do you have a couple highlights that you'd like to just address? Anything that you feel that's...
Certainly, I mean, we've been doing a lot of different things.
Yeah, no, but
First and foremost, though, I'd
Yeah.
like to thank the overwhelming public response that we had at the Ogdensburg Boys and Girls Club Expo. I know that's an event that we, and particularly I, enjoy each year because we hear what we're doing right and we hear what we're doing wrong from the public. Very positive response overall about the things that we're doing, and in addition, the overwhelming consensus of comments this year seem to be focusing on you, the Bridge and Port Authority, are doing an excellent job, but we need more jobs here. So double down on your efforts. So that was well received, and we definitely appreciate the feedback from the community in that regard. A couple other things, we're still waiting to hear on the step application for the bridge. There's a labor management meeting. We've had a couple of grievance hearings with grievance discussions with the ILA that have been resolved. I responded to an Empire State Development information request regarding bicycles on the bridge, and I would like to direct your attention to the purple read file on that matter. Specifically, there's a couple of things there that, as board members, you need to be aware of. Specifically, there is authority policy in New York State bridge regulations that prohibit pedestrians and bicycles on the bridge. In addition, you'll see a two-page document there from our engineering firm detailing the technical reasons why it's not safe to have pedestrians and bicycle access on the bridge, specifically citing safety walks, the open steel grid deck, the finger joints, the maintenance hatch, and the resident critter on the bridge.
I think one of the interesting comments was, I'm not sure what document read, was when we did allow people to go across the bridge, they weren't allowed to ride their bike and to walk it. And I'm thinking, I wrote it, but I never knew there was a rule or regulation at that point in time. And it was actually pretty dangerous, because the width that you could ride on the, I would call it a little small sidewalk, and I think the recommendation was 4 feet in that, and I know that's maybe 2.5, 3 feet the most, that little railing that we had to walk or ride your bike on, so.
So to sum it up, no cyclists or pedestrians are permitted on the bridge, and the authority cannot transport individuals across the structure due to the CBSA Customs and Border vehicle treatment requirements. When there is a vehicle that crosses the bridge, it's treated as one vehicle, not two. If the bike's in the back, doesn't matter, it's still one vehicle. So, from a Customs and Border point of view, until it crosses the station, the border station. Just wanted you to be familiar with that.
Let me ask you, excuse me, man.
Sure.
Being an international bridge has a different requirement or different set of rules and regulations because we're an international bridge versus a regular bridge that just say we're going over the Hudson River. That's some of the other TSA concerns.
Well, each bridge has its own rules and regulations that are
Yeah.
codified into
Yeah.
law, in this case, New York State law. The policy was set by the board back in 1990, that said, no bicycles, no pedestrians on the bridge.
Yeah.
It was codified into New York State regulation. And the unsafe nature of the structure, particularly the finger joints
Yeah.
with bicycle tires, are some of the main reasons why it just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's not safe, and frankly, it's not something that we could or should compromise on.
Not the way it is right now. Thank you for that.
Is there been a request to have this? Is that here?
There has been a request from New York State Empire State Development, and there has been a request from the City of Ogdensburg, Chamber of Commerce, and a local proprietor to consider these issues.
So, they're gonna be sending a letter from you in regards to this?
They already have a copy of this, yes.
So,
So, it's,
just-
these are the regulations that are in effect for the bridge, and these are the reasons why bicycles and pedestrians are not allowed to cross the bridge. So I just wanted to provide you with the same information that Empire State Development and the other parties have.
I notice in some of the bigger bridges, they would not allow any pedestrian to walk or bike in that traffic pattern between the two rail system, whatever. And I don't know if they call it a catwalk or whatever they call the exterior, they put it on the exterior part of the bridge, and that's where the pedestrians are gonna go, whatever. And I think you and I talked about that, it was like $15 million or something, put something like that on there.
There's an unknown number out there to what it would cost to cantilever a separate bike path across the structure. It's not something that's, it's not something that's in the works, it's not something that's envisioned at this time.
Do you need any action from the board on this?
No, I think it's
this
just
is
information.
Strictly information, because I'm sure if we're getting questions, soon you will be getting questions.
Just for clarity purposes, who was the executive director in 1990?
1990, would that have been Dan?
And the main
I
reason,
knew who it was, I just wanted to say thank you.
I specifically remember this whole issue.
one
Just
of the
like you
main,
said, there's no safety guards, nothing. Not even really back then for walking.
one of the main reasons too back then was because when we originally had the rules and regulations, a lot of the trucks were 8'6" and smaller. The trucks keep getting larger and larger. The trucks and the bicycles on the bridge
Right.
together, and it's a bad mix.
There's a bad situation there with
We don't
potential
have a
safety.
sidewalk anymore.
No, we took it out.
Yeah, 2,100 feet of that from the new project, you're saying you're talking about the sidewalk,
Yeah.
that sidewalk's gone.
Oh, I know,
Right,
between the
so-
main structures
So
there.
right out in the suspension span, you've got
Yeah.
nowhere to go. You're strictly on the road deck and you've got nowhere to go from
Yeah.
vehicle work coming at you.
Well, we would love to have, tourism and those type of things happen here or whatever, but obviously the safety of the riders and the people involved in that process is number one.
Let me ask this question, just as a point of information on it. If there's a particular time, say that these people were coming through with their bikes and stuff, if they had a bus that they could put everybody on the bus with their bike, the bus could go across, right? I mean, it's a
They
vehicle,
can arrange private transportation.
Yeah,
as-
not
as
us,
they did,
not us,
last
but
year.
say that they wanted to,
Oh, sure.
they could have a bus and the people could put their bikes on the bus and then go across, right?
Yes, there was, as a matter of fact, there was a gentleman last year who was a member of the bicycle club that did just that.
Okay, so it's not a
So there
real
are other
done deal
options
there,
there.
but they're gonna have to do it in a,
In their own way to.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Any other questions on that particular item? Okay, the runway rehab project was bid, and that's before the board. Airport discussions continue on a potential client. We had a major decision yesterday regarding the factory stores case. Positive development there, and we'll need to talk about that in executive session. Talked with the Corps of Engineers regarding the Section 107 study, and one of the two salt contracts is up for renewal today, and the other one is still in process.
Good, Lee. Mr. Morrow?
Yeah, thank you. Our auditors will be here April 29th, so we have a challenge to get everything done and ready by April 29th. Michael Frary, a recent graduate of St. John's Fisher in Rochester, is filling in for Karen, who had a baby girl. And if we will turn to page 6 of the airport report, and that's the only report that I have available at this time, although any miniature bridge report might be available. But let's look at the airport report. In March, we had 963 passengers, up 211 from the year before. So we finished our fiscal year up 34.4% on total passengers, up 33.4% on enplanements, and the enplanements were 5,270. Fuel sales continue strong, 1,448 in March versus 1,000 in last March. So our fuel sales are up 55.2% this year over last year.
Now, Fred, it says here commuter passengers a total of 10,000.
Yes.
Is that the number we want?
The number
Or is that
that,
misleading?
that's the total passengers. The number we want is enplanements.
Okay, so that's.
We need 10,000 enplanements. That's
Enplanements.
passengers out. The passengers that come in have been counted somewhere else. Albany, in fact, or Boston. if they've got
Just in
that.
the last couple of days, I understand that the plane was grounded because of wind again. And is it true that that plane has been taken out of service because of problems with the wind hitting it and stuff? You know anything about
Didn't
that?
hear that, no.
Well, that's true.
Hmm.
Just wanted to let you know that that particular plane was grounded. It had maintenance work and stuff done to it because of the winds. 'Cause my granddaughter was on that flight.
That one particular plane or all planes of that?
No, that plane,
That particular one, oh,
the one that was coming here anyways.
yeah.
But everything's all right. They had to go to Messina to fly out.
So that's the airport report. Like I said, the bridge report, we had some technical difficulties getting that report put together, and it may be available before this meeting is over. And of course, the financials, we're still working on the year-end close. Any questions about anything in the accounting finance?
No, it was nice you find Mr. Furry to step in and take over for Sharon for a period
Did
of
we
time.
get Mr. Penske or?
Yes, yes. I intended to bring the person back that filled in when Jessica was out, but she got a full-time job just before. In fact, just 2 days before I had intended her to start. And I was going to bring her in, straight in, and having it at such a late time, I sought help from Penske and the new staffing firm, Personi. I contacted both of them, but he came through with Penske.
You're doing a pretty good job. Everybody comes in here and works for you, gets a job,
Gets a
full-time
job
job out
somewhere.
of here.
Yes, yes, they do. Yeah. Do a good job, and I give them a good recommendation.
Well, that's
It'd make a
good.
difference.
Well, it's, anything else you wanna add, or,
Nope, I'm all set.
you wanna give a summary for John?
Sure. John is actually on vacation in North Carolina. He was supposed to call in today. I apologize. I'll pinch hit. As far as port development and promotion, it's been a very busy month. John has wrapped up a 5-year agreement with Morton Salt. That's one of our two main salt customers. I anticipate that the other one we're working on will also have a similar 5-year term associated with it as well. He's working on a project with one of the local universities for a single turbine that's looking to be brought in. Bungie, that's an important one to mention. You'll see in your packet later on this morning, Bungie is a 2-month extension. That's not a new agreement, that's a strictly an extension. Apologize, I'm not fully prepared here for this.
That's okay. Take your time.
The initial inquiries on the Wagner Road industrial site have been interesting. There have been a few dairy cooperatives that were looking at the site, but the primary interest seems to be from breweries at this point, which is a little unexpected, I'll put it that way. We're working on some additional information there and should have something for consideration at the next meeting for an update. On a related note, I apologize, one thing I forgot to mention in my report, I was remiss, it also relates to the Wagner Road industrial site. I need to send a specific thank you to Senator Gillibrand's office for facilitating a meeting with a potential client for the Wagner Road industrial site. That's gonna occur next week. And this is one of the name of the firm, I'd be happy to address with you off camera. But it is one of the ones that we had, that it was the reason that we had done the report in the first place. So I hope to have an update for you next week on how that turns out. We'll go from there.
Well, reading down to there is, John's a busy person here with all this stuff going on. So, looking for results, and that'll be proof in the pudding, wouldn't it? Mr. Lawrence, I know you're ready to go.
Yes, I am. Overall, we're doing spring cleanup at the park, around the bridge and at the port. So there's some of those with all of the things here I'm talking about. On the bridge, we're gearing up. We've accepted applications. I believe we've roughly 42 applications for bridge crew members, and we're going to review them and hopefully get some people in place to gear up for our bridge maintenance season. At the airport, the runway rehab project, there were 2 bids received. You'll see those later on. At the port, that number's gone up a little bit. We moved a little salt by the end of the month there. So for our purposes, for our salt shipping season was roughly 123,500 tons were shipped out, which is up over about 12,000 tons over last year. And you know, as everybody knows, we had a little heavier winter than we did the year before. We moved more salt in March than we did last year at all, because last year pretty well shut down the 1st of March.
Steve, how did the salt that we had to put in storage or cover, how did that work out?
Good. Actually, the building worked out fine, and most of that, I would say, almost all of that salt went across the bridge. There's still roughly about 900 tons left in there.
Okay.
And that's, they're hoping to be moving that out by the middle of the month. But all of that salt went to locations over in Ontario.
Okay.
So that actually worked out pretty good.
They were
able to load.
Would they come back and do that again?
That's their initial, they were talking about doing the same thing next year. The only thing they said was they wouldn't be sending the salt in right away for storage over the summer. I guess they make this all up in the fall, and then they ship it out to different locations. So they were asking, they understand that if we lease it to somebody else, it's gone, but so it just kind of impress upon them if they know what they're going to do, the sooner the better. But that actually worked out pretty good for our building 5.
What does that do to the building itself?
Not much to the building itself. We just got there are some columns in the middle and maybe 6 feet up. Some of that salt contacted maybe 2 feet of a column, but my intent is just, we're gonna go in and just pressure wash everything afterwards, just so we don't leave that residue on that.
Put something to wrap the beam with?
The beam is wrapped 4 feet high with concrete, and that's got a cardboard
Yeah,
firm. It's just that last, we tried to keep everything over enough that some of that sloped into those columns. So there's only about 2 feet of the columns that we need to just rinse off really good, just like we would with the bridge, just
okay.
salt residue. But overall, you know, so far, you know, no worse for wear in there, because there isn't a lot of dust and everything in there, because it's a pre-wetted material, so
Yeah,
I don't see a lot of it moving around inside the building.
okay, once it's there, it's there.
And the Bungie canola meal, we're over halfway through that. That's been really good. That's been a steady, we move anywhere from 6 to 8 trucks a day on that, and that keeps us pretty busy now that salt's slowed down. You'll also see the bid results for the switchboard replacement project in there, and that switchboard is for the highlights at the port that piece of equipment is in pretty rough shape, needs to be replaced. And one last thing, basically the first floor of the bridge administration building, we changed all the lighting either bulbs or fixtures and ballast, so we did it in here. I don't know if anybody notices either way, which is a good thing, I guess. But we changed everything out, and there's less draw, and we'll get some rebate too for nicer on that. So it's a pretty good deal. So while it's in place, we're just going through those things that need replacement.
Any questions for Steve?
Yeah, I just, Steve, when, are we gonna have that bridge crew up to what we used to have it up to?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a total of what, 8?
No, it'll be, let's see, 7.
7 plus the foreman? And how about the support staff that goes with it?
Well, there'll be 4, because there'll be 4 like the college kids that will need some in the boat, and then also for flagging.
So there'll be 7 plus 4?
Yes.
We're gonna have a steady crew now,
Yes.
like we had before?
Yep.
And them are the interviews that you're doing now?
Yeah. What I'll try to do is maybe out of those 40s, we can pull out 8 or 10 applications, and well, there might be more, depends on their qualifications, but try to get that down to a manageable level and then interview those people, see what, but already just preliminary, I've seen enough people there where I'm pretty pleased with the results.
And they'll have the same benefit packages that we had before?
Yeah, that hasn't changed yet. We'll just offer some of that. It's been approved by the board, and we'll just make them aware of that.
What was the rate of pay, do you remember?
I wanna say $15.10 to start with, and then
Sounds right.
for the next 4 years, it goes up a quarter that you're here, and then after 4 years, it stops. But that was the initial policy that, you know, if you stay on, you get a quarter raise in that, to a,
I remember now.
yeah, so basically you're a little over 60.
We're just going back to,
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Facilities committee meeting, do you wanna talk about that today, or you just wanna,
Yeah.
okay?
We're, Mr. Chairman, we had our facilities committee meeting. I believe, everything has been approved on the agenda for the full board. So you just wanna take them, you wanna
Yeah, I
do
mean,
them now?
if you wanted to review it at all, or you just, it's all in the packet, right?
It's all in the packet?
Yes.
Yeah, and everything was
It's all in the packet and all
agreed to bring it to the full board.
Okay, so
We're all set.
Okay. I don't think there's any other committees have met, have we, Wade? No.
No,
Okay, any unfinished business that I know of?
there's none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. As we look at our schedule of upcoming board meetings, we have a little conflict on May 8th, with staff people being at a meeting on May 8th. May 5th through the 8th. And the recommendation here is to move that meeting to May 1st, which would be this Wednesday. Anybody have a problem with that? May 1st?
Still in the morning?
Still in the morning?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
8 AM facilities, 9 AM board.
Sounds good, yes.
With the exception of that one, because that's got some other executive session.
Back to facilities or not, or committees, Doug, have you, thought when you wanna have a marketing committee meeting, per se, whatever?
Well, the state's back, we're all back, I thought maybe sometime the end of next week or the following week.
Okay.
I'm gonna be gone till Tuesday, I'll be back on Tuesday,
Okay.
but
Well, why don't you, coordinate that when you wanna have a
Okay.
meeting?
I'll reach out and schedule something there. I
Okay.
also need to schedule a governance committee meeting because we have a couple items holding.
Good.
That, we aren't behind yet, but if.
Okay.
Clock's ticking, I'll put it that way.
We can have it the same day, is that you're saying, back to back?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
because
that's
the two of you
fine.
are
That's
involved
fine.
in marketing, so that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. I think that's an important committee, I wanna keep that momentum, that going, so, thank you for that. We're all in agreement on that date. Okay, let's go to business items,
Okay, a couple of things to report here for business items over on page 3. This is an extension with Bungie Echo at the rates, terms, and conditions. Basically, this is for the canola meal, needing an extra 2 months to get it out the door.
I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Noes? Okay, that's good.
Agenda item A2 over on page 5 closes out the change order number 2 on the Port Access Road. It's a change order in the amount of $147,252, which brings the final total to the project of $2.8 million, funded 40% OBPA, 41% DOT, 16% Empire State Development, and 3% RVRDA. The corresponding chart is on page 6. You can see that, I'll draw your attention to that black bar in the middle of the diagram. That's where we were as of July, the last change order. Everything to the right is what happened since then, and you can see the total there. Page 8, the packet, that's no change from the previous 2 board meetings. There is one potential outstanding issue there to the tune of $136,000. We continue to refute that based on the DOT specifications and on the advice of council.
We wait for them to respond.
They have responded.
Oh.
They disagree with our assessment, but that's basically where it is.
the original engineering estimate was 1.2 million,
With 1.2 million.
and we
That's
ended
correct.
up at 2.8.
And we ended up at 2.8 on the construction phase. And thank you for mentioning that, Don. One thing I forgot is in your board read packet there is another copy of you've seen this before, but just in case you didn't have it, that's the engineering assessment on the Port Access Road project.
So, we had roughly about $1 million overrun on that project, right?
That's correct, from start to finish on the construction phase, yes.
So, if we look at the overruns are, in regards to this project, was the temporary road.
Sure.
Which is $222,000.
Let me walk right through it. The overruns on this project, the 222,000 on the temporary road, 100,000, well, let me back up. These show the costs, they don't show the benefits associated with it, it's strictly costs. So if you, for example, on the railroad crossing, if you move the crossing and reduce the height of the road, you see the cost associated with moving the crossing, you don't see the fill that was saved as a result, by the way this is reported here. But going through the project, start to finish by category, the engineering estimate was $1.2 million. I think we can all agree that was substantially off. The bid was 1.8. The temporary road was 222,000. Of that, if you recall, we reused a lot of material under the scale house. The railroad crossing was relocated for $100,000. That gave us permanent storage gains at the port. We had fill on the first round of 273,000, and we had a sewer change that was 37,000. That brings us up to the end of change order 1 as of July of last year. This second change order, what we have is we have additional fill. The numbers were calculated, and that's where it came out for 214,000. There was additional asphalt and $45,000 in field inspector change orders, which brings the total to 2.76, round numbers 2.8 million versus a bid of 1.8 million.
How do we show the savings on having Mr. Badland being our clerk or supervisor of this project?
Well,
Versus the engineer
we had
supplying
that on the short answer is $100,000 versus what the engineer was going to charge us for the construction inspection.
So how does that show here?
Savings don't show here. This is just strictly costs that you're looking at.
Cost. So if we had not hired Mr. Badlam, that figure here would be higher?
If we had not hired Mr. Badlam, the inspection figure would have been higher and it would have shown up here as a separate cost item, yes.
Okay, so we did save some money somewhere. Somewhere. If we wanna call it a save. Okay. So we need action on this?
Yes, we do need to have that approved, so we can pay the contractor.
I'll move it.
Page 6. Okay, I have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Need a second?
I have some questions that,
Okay, so
I
we
wanna
have,
make sure that
we have a second, we have discussions.
for the discussion on this, I'm just trying to come up, maybe I need Don's help over some of these numbers, but as of July, we had and then we had these change orders. What I'm trying to say here is we had a lot of things that was in this project, that some of that cost, it needs to be shifted to the respectable area, and which is the windmill project. Now, we put 222,000 plus 273 in materials for the total project. Some of that project was put into the temporary road. I'm just trying to, the windmill project's responsible for some of this cost.
That's a good point. Let me
And
throw
I don't
out-
wanna add all of this over, look, the overrun is justifiable.
Mhm.
We know that, we've went through this and we've talked about it. The road actually come in pretty close to the bid of 1.8. So it was, our money was 1.2, so we increased that by putting extra money in there to come up to the 1.84.
Yes, we found extra
Okay,
funding.
so with all of the other things that was put into the temporary road and the stone and et cetera, building that temporary road was an added cost. Actually, that cost should be shifted to the windmill project is what I'm saying.
Well, it can't be shifted because it's construction of the access road itself, and that's where the cost ultimately lies under the capital project. But it is, you bring up a valid point. Without this project, we would not been able to employ 70 people. We would not been able to put $1 million direct into the pockets of those 70 people. We would not have been able to have the largest rail move in the US with the bestest turbines coming from, blades coming from Colorado. State police would not have had $850,000 in their pocket because of the escorts. The hotels and the various sectors here, we had over 1,000 trucks on this job. We had over 210 rail cars that occurred through this thing. We had a large positive economic benefit, and it's due strictly to this project. Because without it, we would not have been able to clear these items out of the port. And that's an important distinction that you make. We're
Well,
looking
I
at
just
one
wanna make
half
sure
of
that the people don't think that it was an overrun for the road.
And just one other thing, along what Wade said, had we not come through with that, we won't have future projects. In other words, if we'd fallen down on that one, we're still in the running for a lot of other projects.
But for the whole deal, the common sense people, we had $1 million that we had to run over, but there was a cost of that factor being done in other areas of the project. So it wasn't given to the contractor.
Yeah, you can't look at, you gotta look at the benefits along with the costs here. So your point's taken in that.
Well, I think the stress of the emergency of the situation was the way the project evolved at the last moment, and how we resolved that problem with a temporary road and all those type of things, you would have no project. It's quite simply put that way. The reverse side, if we didn't have a project, we could have eliminated the temporary road, we could have gone all this other different whole ballgame, but
And we would have been in the 1/8.
yes,
The
that,
whole deal.
the whole thing, so, our focus was the jobs, and do it right for the people here of Ogdensburg, and I think had a positive benefit to a lot of people, and I to Wade and to everybody, the staff people involved in that project, there's a lot of credit due here. A lot of credit due. I mean, nobody liked to have an overrun of $1 million, no, we wouldn't, but, this won't happen again, we're, but we got it done.
As someone pointed out too, it's a good investment in our future. Just like the first project, we got the roll-on, roll-off capability at the dock. Now we have the ability to clear oversized, over-dimensional stuff in advance of Patterson Street. Good project, good road.
Yeah, he's in a good road, all right. Vote for a vote,
Well, I
Mr.
think you
Chairman.
end up with, I mean, and I'll say this again, disagreement with what the engineers said versus what other people said, and maybe it was overbuilt, and maybe it was. And I think if we being overbuilt, it made it a better road. And the compaction factor, whatever, we'll have to, I don't think we'll have to deal with that problem the way we thought it was originally designed. So the extra money went to a better road, so amen to that. So, all right, I have a motion, any more discussion? Have a second? I don't think we need a roll call vote in this, do we?
No.
No, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. What are all the ayes? Any noes? No. Okay. See that how easy that project was?
Agenda item,
Yeah, just one last thing, I wanna make sure the board is aware of this, if they weren't here, some of them, I think Steve was, but Doug wasn't. We do have a couple outstanding issues with the laborers union and the operating engineers in regards to health and welfare and pension things that we've been notified by Blitman and King, and we've taken care of that issue. We don't have a part in that. Their arguments with the contractors, not with us. And from what we understand, them benefits have been paid, so if you hear it out there, we've done our work, and the certified payroll show that.
good point. Good
So
point.
I just wanted to make sure you knew that their argument with how they pay for that is their business, but the benefits have been paid. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Over on page 11, to get us out of the signal light control business, we need to do an approval of transfer of signal light to the city of Ogdensburg. This is the light that was part of the Port Access Road project, needs to be turned over to the city.
I'll move it.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? How is that gonna be regulated? I mean, people have issues, or we have issues, the way they want the lake to work? Whatever, is there any system involved with that, Wade? There's some people, to me, in the public, are confused about this light, when you come off Berry Street. It takes a long time for the light to change.
I mean, the timing and all that, type of stuff is set right now. When it's turned over to the city, that would be under
Their jurisdiction.
jurisdiction.
It's all done, whatever.
and Bridge and Port Authority, just as the same as any member of the public, would be able to make a request to change the timing, the
That's
speed
done by
bumper slow
DOT,
down.
right?
It's a recommended, what it was is, they consider the traffic coming out of the port, that was the overriding, that's what,
Yeah,
the timing of everything is based on the truck traffic from the port.
yeah.
So if there is a delay on the Berry Street side, that might have been a secondary thing based on the truck traffic. The most important thing was getting the trucks out of there in a safe manner, so there's a prescribed time that, for that type of traffic, and that's what it's set up for now. And if the city, you know, if I guess, if they have that option of changing that, but it will affect it could affect our traffic, I'm not saying it will, but right now, I'm more than happy with the way it works for us, but I'm not the general public either. But as far as it relates to the port, I'm happy with the way the trucks go in and out of there and the timing, and I haven't received a whole lot of, complaints about, people running lights or anything like that, so.
What's the priority trigger, coming out access road?
Yeah, no, the priority is Ford Street, it stays green.
Okay, so in other words,
And
somebody
until
pulls
somebody
up
trips
to-
it, there's about a maybe 20-second or 30-second, you'll pull up before the light will change. It doesn't just go like that. And then I'm not sure, I haven't really come off the Berry Street side a lot, but Berry Street's either one way or the other. There's not a lot of through traffic, so most people, they're
I
coming.
wonder-
The only one would have to wait on Berry Street in actuality is someone going left. If you're going right, you go according to you can go right on that anyways.
Right.
I waited there a while the other day, I'm just trying it out.
Were you going left?
Going left.
Well, you got a problem.
Yeah, it may be less sensitive to, it might be a longer way.
I think it was 20 seconds. I went both ways just to see
Yeah,
what
see
it was.
yeah.
The other thing is, a person was telling me the other day, there's trucks going in between 4 and 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. And I said, well, our trucks are coming in, as far as I know, from the highway going down into the
Right.
place. And there's some truckers going in there pretty early in the morning. How do they get in?
They just come right down. No, they'll come down the roadway and just park there. And then when we open the gate at 6 o'clock, they'll just line up for the scale now. So they're in a queue right down the roadway right now.
Really, they can't see any of those trucks once they get down in there.
No,
No,
they're down.
I can't see them.
Down below grade.
And then when we get an overflow, all they do is curl up into the Wall Street parking area, then work their way back out that way.
Drop the coat first. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of that signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Noes?
Okay, over on page 13, agenda item A4, this is a supplemental handling and storage agreement with Morton Salt. The rates are over on page 14,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
and they are confidential.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Mr. Whitman,
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd recommend that we have a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters relating to the judge's decision on the St. Lawrence Factory
That's the
Stores
call,
case.
right?
That's
Okay.
the call.
I move.
For a second? You have a second, Don? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian. Executive session.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, at this time, I'd like to take agenda item D5 out of order as it reflects the content of the executive session, and recommend the approval of payment for St. Lawrence Factory Stores litigation to resolve the case in the amount of $41,895.42. This concludes 20 years of unnecessary litigation, and the authority has defended itself to the best of its ability with an adequate outcome.
I'd make the motion.
We have a motion,
Second.
need a second. Any further discussion, comments? I think let the record show that the long process and the judge carefully looked over all this information and for us as a board and the Port Authority, we plan to move on from this point forward.
Who made the second motion?
Doug
Thank
did.
you.
Okay, all those, roll call vote on this? Okay, have a recommendation, roll call vote.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Mr. Gardner, Mr. Hooper?
Yes.
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 Mr. Malasha?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, picking up where we left off, over on page 13, we have approval of a supplemental handling and storage agreement with Morton Salt. This is a 5-year agreement, reflects approximately a 3% increase overall. The rates are confidential and are on page 14 as Appendix A.
That's to protect them and everybody else, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Need a motion?
I'll move the
All right.
resolution.
Okay, Don?
Second.
Steve? Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay, no those, okay, thank you.
Okay, on page 15, agenda item B1, this is approval of a supplemental lease agreement with Air Shoes at the rate, terms, and conditions you see before you. The square footage is located on page 16. You can see the shaded area there.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion,
I'll second.
and Steve second. Any comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye?
Agenda item B2 on page 17 is reflective of a 4% increase with a supplemental lease agreement with Lincare at the rates, terms, and conditions you see before you. Page 18 shows the area that is leased by Lincare.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thanks, Don.
Second.
Mr. Alford, second. Any further comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, I heard all the ayes, thank you.
On page 19, agenda item B3 is approval of a use permit with Greater Ogdensburg Chamber of Commerce. They're looking to utilize building number 1 over the Commerce Park for a craft show that's, they're anticipating holding November 23rd, 2013. This does come with the hold harmless clause, the insurance requirements, and the $150 security deposit.
Is this the show that they've held at Kennedy School for the past several years?
That's it.
Is that what it is? I'm
Yeah,
not
yes, it
familiar
is.
with it.
Yeah.
It must be
Yeah.
because of construction going on over there, they need a different place.
And I just like to, I'll make a motion to approve it, but I just want everybody to understand that the staff has notified us this morning, the $150 for cleanup will go back as long as the building's in the same condition it was when they moved into it, so there won't be no cost for the chamber if it's cleaned. Otherwise, Steve's gotta clean it.
Second. You moved, I second.
Oh, you second, okay.
Yes.
Any further comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all the ayes, thank you.
Agenda item C1 on page 20 reflects no increase in approval of transfer and storage agreement with Mr. R.B. Lawrence at the airport for an aircraft hangar that you can see pictured on page 21.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Laughlin. Any questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all the ayes, thank you.
Item C2 on page 22 is a selection of the additional airport consultant for airport capital projects. Let me editorialize here a minute, and it'll provide some additional context. Back in 2011, we interviewed engineering firms for the airport. Airports generally select the engineering firms they work with. They notify the FAA, and there's an approved list, and you can use somebody on the list or not on the list. What we need to do is, because of a special project that we're working on, we would like to utilize the services of McFarland Johnson in addition to CNS engineers to help us with this special project. In order to do that, we need to tell FAA that this is an approved engineer by the Bridge and Port Authority. That's what this resolution does. This resolution, as we discussed in the Facilities Committee meeting, does not have anything to do with money. Each of the contracts, whether they be with CNS or whether they be with McFarland Johnson, are independently negotiated. And typically, the engineering firms, just for a point of reference, get about 15% of the projects that they work on at the airport. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, depending on the overall complexity of the project.
So if we agree on this, we know for sure that FAA will approve it.
We actually are the ones that approve it. FAA just concurs with it.
Okay.
They don't have any approval.
We don't have any
disapproval.
timetable to, who's gonna drag this on, it's just
Right.
move itself forward, okay.
This is unusual for us, but it's common at large airports, because large airports deal with multitudes of
Expertise in
engineering
certain ones,
firms.
yes.
Different engineering firms are specialized in different areas.
One of the areas, Mr. Chairman, that I've got concern in, and I hope I can say it the right way, is we select the CNS for the next 5 years to be our engineer, designs and everything on the airport. And now we're bringing in another engineering firm, basically to do the same thing in the same structure that we already had CNS for. I'm just wondering, I just don't wanna see any cross lines here where we've approved a 5-year plan with CNS, and now we're saying to CNS, we got another project we wanna do, and are we obligated to run that through CNS rather than go out and hire another engineering firm to come in and do this? There's an area of concern there with me on that particular issue. I don't have a problem with approving this resolution, but now you have 2 engineering firms. The record shows that we adopted, back in 2011, CNS to do this. And
That's why it's listed
I
in here
would say this
specifically.
resolution,
McFarland Johnson is for special projects.
my question is once, I would like to see the resolution passed, but I'd like to see it worded that we will submit this to McFarland Johnson to the FAA, and if there's no problem there, then you use them. Otherwise, you know, I have a concern here, because you have a contract with CNS. That's my concern. I don't have a problem with what you're doing, I just wanna discuss it. What's your opinion, Frank?
Well, our contract with CNS is for, they did a 5-year plan, and we already know what's in their 5-year plan. All right, so that's what they're working on. As long as we aren't hiring another engineering firm to do what they're working on.
That's
And
exactly.
I'm assuming that's not why these people are on board.
Well, that's
correct.
That's correct. The thing is you said what I was thinking about. You got CNS on there, but we've never told CNS we wanna do this. You know, you didn't tell them, you know, so they don't know, but yet they're the record, they are the engineer for the record. So CNS is gonna go, if they never come to us with this, that they wanted to extend the runway, they wanted to do this.
That's not true,
Well,
that's not true at all.
That's not
close.
correct.
Not even close. We gave them a recommendation, what we asked for, what we needed, required, and they I don't say refused, they did not acknowledge that directive per se, whatever, and recommended not to do what we wish to do. Or McFarland, if I'm wrong, Wade, you correct me please. McFarland Johnson, Wade took another approach and asked for another firm that said, this is what we need to do and how are we gonna do it. And they said, this is what we can do for you at a different rate, different cost per se. And that's why this is here in front of you.
So there is a cost. I asked that
Yeah,
question.
We have
I got
crossed
it written
over.
down right here. What is the cost?
There is no cost associated with this. We have now crossed over into matters leading to an appointment. I cannot have an honest conversation with you, with a reporter in the room and the TV on, regarding matters leading to an appointment of a corporation. If this is a road that we wanna go down, I respectfully request we go into executive session and have this discussion.
I move
Because
that.
otherwise, we can't have a robust discussion of the matter.
Okay, I need a
I'll make
motion.
that motion to
Any
go in
motion?
executive session.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to executive.
Why?
Matters leading to the appointment of a corporation. Sorry, go ahead,
Let's,
Sam.
let the record show, we're in the executive session, now back to regular session, and it's at 11:45. Wade, do you wanna take us?
Certainly. Page 22 of your document has been replaced with a new agenda item C2. This is a selection of additional consultant for airport capital projects. As discussed in the executive session, there is a need to add a consultant to work on a special project here at the Ogdensburg International Airport. What you see is item C2 before you. Pretty self-explanatory.
It's just a one-time service
Yes,
for this project, and that's
correct.
DNS is still with us. Amen.
I make that motion?
We have a motion from Steve, second.
Second.
Second, Don. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, very good.
The agenda item D1 is in your separate packet there. This deals with the corporate center. Specifically, what it does, it has a new lease agreement with the corporate center, May 1st, 2013 through April 30th, 2014, at the rates, terms, and conditions you see before you. One special note on this one, this is different than our typical lease because it does require a confession of judgment and a personal guarantee to cover past due rent.
Now, this is, am I looking at the right one here? Agenda D, is that right?
D1.
D1 approval of the lease. This is a prior, we had a prior lease with this company, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And now you've redone the lease to cover all of the
We had
past due rents and all that?
that's correct. There was a past due amount. The past due amount was worked into a separate section of the new lease. In other words, to do that, we had to also protect ourselves there, and that's why there is a confession of judgment and a personal guarantee that serves to protect us.
I would make the motion to approve this, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it and note guarantee, just make a correction in the spelling, that's all.
You mean the spelling of the word? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
That's,
spelling of
that's
the
on
word.
the top of
EE?
the, it's on the top of the agreement that Frank sent us, so that's, I copied it.
What's that?
The
Oh.
guarantee, that's how it's spelled on the document that you gave.
Spelled both ways.
Okay,
Is it-
thank you.
And
So EE is
Yeah.
okay too, okay, very good. Okay, I have a second, any further comments, questions? Okay, good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, and all the ayes, thank you.
Okay, agenda item D2 on page 2 of the extra packet is the approval of the purchase of a truck with snowplow. We're required as an authority to use state contract and MWBE vendors where appropriate. We need a pickup truck. This is for a 2013 Ford F-250 with plow from Van Bortle Ford, who is an MWBE vendor.
This was in front of the facility committee this morning, and Don and me approved it to go with the full board. and, I'll let Don take it over from there.
I think we've asked all the appropriate questions on this. We had the explanation of the MWBE and, the flex fuel issue that has been raised in the past, so,
Oh, yeah.
we move this to the full board.
What will, thank you for that, Don. What will percentage, will this change a percent or anything, or have any significance of, what would 25, would they give us a half a percent?
Yes, it
or-
will. We're hopeful that we'll be able, based on the timing, to count this in our, as of March 28th, 2013. So we'll drag it back across the line.
But what percentage would, I mean,
I'm gonna calculate that.
oh, okay, I heard something on that. Was you
Yeah,
calculating?
that was my head.
That was you thinking.
It'll make,
I used to have a watch with a calculator.
yeah. It should make about, 4 points difference.
Oh, that's a nice, okay, that's very helpful,
Right.
excellent. Appreciate your work in doing that. Need a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
so second Doug. Any further comments, questions?
The only thing is, Fred, make sure we get the, just to stick on here in your paperwork, the certification number of the MVP there.
Yeah, I checked it already.
You got a number for us?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Fred, one thing I didn't know, we did purchase undercoating this time. Remember the last time we did it
Oh,
after the
yes.
fact, but it is on there as part of the
I saw it
factory.
stock.
thing. Yeah,
So we'll get an extra year out of it.
8 months.
Okay.
It'll help.
I was down there looking at your new truck with the fender bender in it, moving right along. Your brand new snowplow had a little fender bender on it. Fender was
Better not.
smashed,
It better not.
it's all fixed now.
What date is this? Is this?
It was
April
just,
Fool's Day?
last month.
Oh, okay.
What, you mean you didn't see it?
I'll go look.
He's gonna leave It's right now. fixed. It's fixed. There was over the top of the light
I mean,
was
on the
all,
light where, yes.
yeah, it was all
okay.
broke there, the fiberglass.
Yes, they put the.
Then I went
headlight.
down, it was all fixed.
Oh, yeah. No, they put.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, I heard all the ayes, thank you. Okay.
Agenda item D3 on page 3 is approval of contract with Barrett Paving Materials contingent upon FAA funding. There were two bids that you can see there for alternates 1, 2, and 3. For reference, the last time this went out to bid, the dollar amount was, talking in terms of alternate 3, was 3.7 million for one, 3.4 million for another, round numbers. So there is a savings for us here versus the previous iteration. We're recommending Barrett Paving Materials through alternate 3 of 3.278 million.
And they submitted the plan and how they're gonna do it at nighttime or whatever type of things they're gonna do? I know
Yes,
that was
actually,
issued
they
before.
took a very interesting approach. The requirements were have one paver to pave the airport runway, have another as backup. What they ended up doing in their bid, they're gonna have 2 pavers running side by side and 1 spare, and be able to pave the airport significantly faster. So it's an interesting idea that they came up with.
Do they haul from their own place over there, or they, from here?
I believe so. Steve,
Yeah,
you have anything
yes.
to add on that?
They'll be hauling from.
So they can produce it, they can.
Yeah, they'll have total control over it, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Why is it different weight up here on the federal, I mentioned 95 state, 2.5 and 2.5, then it's got 3.67 million, and then down here we got 3,287,000. There's, why is the numbers different?
Well, the whole project, again, there are different phases with each project. There's a design phase, there's a construction phase. And what you're looking at, the whole project, we always put the recap down there. So the whole project is funded 95%, 2.5, 2.5, and the whole project totals 3.67 million.
But the number down here is for the contractor to do the job is 3,287,000.
That's correct.
So that will lower our cost of the 2.5 down, or do we still get that money for something else?
No, you're still gonna have that money, but that money is gonna go for design, it's gonna go for
Okay.
the other
Okay.
parts of the project.
Okay, good. Understand.
Okay, need a motion?
So moved.
Okay, Don, thank you.
I'll second.
Second, Steve, thank you.
CNS is the engineer of this, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. Well, yes, that is correct, although there has not been any agreement accepted by the Bridge and Port Authority on FAA, New York State DOT, or with the design engineer at this point. Agenda item D4 on page 4.
I don't think there was a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Any other further comments, questions? Anything else? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All ayes, thank you.
Agenda item D4 is approval of contract with Dow Electric. This is for switchgear replacement at the port. You've seen the pictures of these previously. The bidding results are there. As a result of the bids, we're recommending Dow Electric, cost not to exceed $8,500.
Is there any reason why 3 of them are in a general kind of category and one is quite low and one quite high? I mean,
It's our understanding that the low bidder in this one's actually a wholesaler that has access to the equipment at a lesser cost.
I asked the same question, Steve, before we brought it to the full board's attention, because of the three, I mean, within $200 of each other, $300, and then all of a sudden we get a bid in there. According to Steve, says that this guy's a wholesale dealer, and he probably bought the panel cheaper. I don't know. It's,
What's his advantage?
you know.
Then that letter that I gave you there, that's Tisdale's evaluation.
Yeah, we got this letter
So
here
there
that,
might be some information in there that helped you a little bit.
that supports the issue of things,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
With that, I'll make the motion to approve it. I mean, there's no sense just banging it on
and I'll second it. I just was wondering.
Yeah.
That makes good sense to me.
it. Yeah, that's why we got that for you too.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. One of the questions it's over with, whatever, but I just have to go back here to who initiated the resolution on the truck. So that came from you?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, what's on?
I,
Well, it's got your name, Wade.
yeah,
That's
the
our
way,
standard
I
thing.
just give him the information.
Well, I mean, so I just wanna understand the process. It came from you.
Yeah, it's just,
That we need a truck, and Wade obviously presented, but it really, your name should really be
yeah,
on it.
but as far as writing, I don't generally, it's either T-shirt Wade writes mine,
Yeah,
or an, you know.
but you're the
help me
one
with-
that's asking for the
Yes,
truck.
yes,
That's the
correct,
point.
yes,
That's the point.
yes.
I know the
Mr. Chairman,
process.
that was probably my mistake, so they probably just didn't change it at all.
Okay. Small stuff, but it's really, if somebody goes back and says, well, wait a minute, really,
Okay, so I fill my stuff. I didn't
So
get
the line item, we had that in the budget for what, 35,000?
For the switchgear, yes.
No, I'm talking about the truck.
Truck was
How much?
25,
25.
So you went over a little bit,
$200.
yeah.
but I went under
They
a
got
lot.
us, Steve.
undercoating them. We have anything else, Wade? We're all set there?
One resolution yet,
Okay,
the engineer resolution. Where's that?
we did that.
We've already done that.
We did that.
We did?
Yep. No, Mr. Chairman, there's
Okay.
no additional business at
Okay,
this time.
next meeting is, May 1st. AM. Any other comments, questions?
July 3rd meeting. I won't be in town. I'll
That's
be
pretty
on
close.
my way back, coming from Alaska to Vancouver. on a cruise ship.
You going up with the Eskimos?
Yeah, doing the land tour this time too.
Hopefully you have better luck on a cruise ship than some of the folks have had lately.
I've always had good luck, so I keep my fingers crossed.
Someone wanted to talk to me, I can't remember who it was. Anyways. Motion adjourned, Steve, you got a comment?
No, he said he wouldn't be here. We're looking to change that meeting so
We
we
can
can
do it
make
now if you'd like
plans
to.
because
Yeah.
it's the day before the
Fourth.
4th of
Fourth.
July. It
People
only
might be
makes
gone.
sense to move it to the 10th.
I agree. July 10th?
July. Thursday, yeah. Still 9 o'clock, right? All these meetings?
Yes.
Okay,
pay for committees and
yep, alright.
go from there. Motion adjourned?
So moved.
Fred, second?
July third to the tenth.
Second, Don? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye.